Hello, Ryan family. I'm Smitty, and for the Lee and Rogers Hub Black History video series, I will be highlighting Mr. Medgar Evers. The reason I chose Mr. Evers is because I believe he's one of the most influential civil rights activists in our country's history. I did not know who he was until around the mid-90s, they made a movie about his assassination. After I watched that movie, I decided to do some research on him. I talked to all the relatives. I did my, and like I said, I did my own research, and I really came to respect and admire Mr. Evers. Mr. Evers was a married man. We had 3 kids. He was a World War II vet. He was a college graduate. And as I mentioned, he was a civil rights activist. He lived in Mississippi. He was born and raised in Mississippi, and he did his life's work in Mississippi. And if you guys know anything about Mississippi back then, it was the most racist state in our country. He fought to end segregation, voting rights, and basic human rights. Around like 1954, right after the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional for public schools to have segregation, he applied for law school at the University of Mississippi. Of course, he got denied. So he went to the NAACP for help, and they were so impressed with Mr. Evers, they offered him a job as the first field agent in Mississippi history. He took the job and he excelled at the job. A part of his job was to organize rallies, protests, set up local chapters. He fought for economic freedom for Black people. And one of the most important jobs, in my opinion, was he fought for crimes against Black people. And at that time, well, it's still to this day is a very important job. And one of his first assignments was to investigate the murder of Emmett Till. And, you know, and within 3 years of doing this job, he doubled the membership of the NAACP. And after 7 years after him getting denied into to law school at the University of Mississippi, he helped integrate it, which was a really big deal. Now he's making a lot of impact. So that came with a bunch of enemies, a bunch of white supremacists and racists. They formed a White Citizen Council, and their job was to fight against desegregation and civil rights activism. As you know, as crazy as that sounds. They harassed him and his family. They threw Molotov cocktails in his home. They ran him off the road, and ultimately they assassinated him in 1963 in his driveway in front of his family. And that's one of the main reasons I admire a man like Mr. Evers, because the work he was doing, I believe he knew it was going to cost him his life. And he sacrificed his life so we can live in a better world and we can get equal rights. So that's my spiel on Mr. Evers. I hope you learned something, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. All right.